My name is Marcela Valle, and I'm going to be walking you through how to make sugar skulls. Sugar skulls is a form of sugar art used during Dia de los Muertos to represent a soul of a departed loved one, and we place it on the ofrenda to honor them. Today's method is a method I learned on a great website called MexicanSugarSkull.com. And not only do they have great steps, they also have great materials and more history on them if you would like to learn about it. Let's get started. Now to make the sugar skulls, these are the items and ingredients you'll need. Of course, the sugar skull mold. This is a large sugar skull mold. Because it's a large, it actually comes with two sides, the front and the back, if you want a full skull. For today's purpose, I'm only going to be making the front half of the skull, which you can lay flat. You'll also need a mixing bowl, granulated sugar, meringue powder. This can be found at any craft store or Walmart, and water. For today's measurements, I'll be doing 1 cup of sugar, 1 teaspoon of meringue powder. Before you add the water, go ahead and mix the dry ingredients together. By mixing the sugar and the meringue, you will avoid clotting of the meringue powder. Meringue powder is an egg substitute. All right, once you mix the dry ingredients, then add 1 teaspoon of water. It doesn't seem like a lot, but you'll see the difference once you begin to mix. Now you can get both hands in there and mix it until you begin to receive a snowy texture. Be sure to break down any clumps that may form, especially if the meringue powder did not mix well with the sugar at first and it begins to clump with the water. You can find those yellow areas and break them down. I like doing small batches at a time because you get a feel for the consistency that the sugar and the meringue powder and water should get to, so that it not only goes in the mold nicely, but also limits the possibility of dissolving or cracking. Now you want to get to a consistency where it's not like sand, it doesn't fall through your fingers, but you can also make a small snowball. Now once you feel you have a great consistency, then you can begin to pack your mold. When you begin to pack your mold, especially if you have a mold that has very intricate detail, you want to make sure to do it layer by layer and make sure to try to fill in all the cracks as best you can. It'll make for a more accurate sugar skull and also to prevent cracking when it hardens. Just make sure your mold is clean and free of any dust or particles when you begin to pack the sugar, because it can harden with it and cause cracks. Once you pack it, if you have excess sugar, make sure you shave it off to leave it flat, because this will sit flat to harden. Here's the tricky part. Once you have your mold packed, you'll have to flip it quickly so that the sugar doesn't fall out completely. If it falls out completely, it's okay, because it hasn't hardened. You can just scoop it back into the mold and try again. If you don't have a baking pan, make sure you're flipping it on a flat surface, either a cardboard or a table with a cloth on it. You don't want to do this on a rainy day because the humidity can prevent the sugar from hardening. And you also want to make sure the area is not disturbed. So any bumps could potentially cause it to fall apart, or you don't want to leave it outside because then you can get the critters, the ants. So keep it in a safe, dry area as well as a dry environment. Try this again. And move it very carefully. And now we leave it to harden at least 2 to 3 hours or overnight, whatever your preference is. While you're waiting for the skulls to dry, if you want to check on them, I like to tap the sides just to see if it's hardened or if it needs more time. Next, we're going to make the royal icing. The royal icing is made to decorate as well as hold sugar skulls together. If you make the front and back for large skulls, you'll need powdered sugar, meringue powder, water, and food coloring. Make sure the food coloring is non-water based so that it doesn't dissolve your sugar skulls. You'll also need a hand mixer and some cups to separate the icing once you separate your food coloring, and some piping or some plastic bags if you're just doing a small amount like I am today. I've mixed the water, the powdered sugar, and the meringue powder together. So since I'm making a small amount, I did a 1/3 cup of water, 1/4 cup of meringue powder, and 1 pound of powdered sugar. Typically the bags at the store will come at 2 pounds, so I just did about half of the bag. If you want to do more, you can double the measurements. I've mixed the royal icing. It will be hard and it can harden quickly. So once you get that tough consistency, then you're ready to split it into cups and add your colors. I've separated my icing into cups so you can separate the colors. For non-water-based food coloring, it's very concentrated, so you can use 1 to 2 drops at a time, and you can add as you would like the color to change, and mix it well. See how the color has changed? If you want it darker, you can add more. If you want it lighter, add less. This is to your liking. I have my 3 colors in my tubing bags and my sugar skull ready to decorate. You can decorate to your liking. Depending on the size of the tubing bag will depend on how intricate you can make your design, but it's completely your own. Once your skulls are hardened and you can decorate, they're ready for your ofrenda to honor your loved ones that have passed. Thank you.